Welcome to another History Creators Quickie training module. In this training, I'll be exploring the media framework of the author platform pyramid and how you can use it to amplify your messages. The media framework is important as this is where the work you've put into building the foundations and systems of your author platform becomes tangible. You are now ready to start effectively communicating to the three fan bases you have already identified. Just to recap, they are firstly your existing fan base, secondly your book buyers fan base, and finally influencers fan bases. Hi, I'm Ian Bosler. I started Intertype Publish and Print back in 2004. Since then, I've been on a mission to disrupt the traditional publishing industry and remove all the BS content creators must put up with. These quickie training modules will help you build the solid foundations needed to deliver a successful publishing project. In previous episodes of Saturday Secrets, I explored using the pyramid approach to building your author platform. To recap, the author platform pyramid consists of three frameworks. Firstly, there's the foundations, secondly, the systems, and finally, media. In this episode, I'll be diving into the power of publicity, which forms part of the media framework. Earlier, I advised that it's best to have control of the platform you use. Your own is much better than borrowed. In this episode, I'll be diving into borrowed platforms and why they can be an important part of your media mix. But firstly, let's just dive into the influencers' fan bases. These fan bases are gold. Leveraging other people's fan bases can give you access to a large audience that is receptive to your offer, due to what's known as referred trust. The reality is, people prefer to buy from somebody that they know, like, and trust, but this can take time to build. Typically, it takes 5 to 7 interactions for enough trust to be built. Accessing an audience by somebody who has already built that trust can fast track the purchase decision. There are a few rules you need to follow to make this really work. Firstly, the person who gives you access to their audience must know, like, and trust you. Ideally, you need to understand their overall objectives with their audience, and your offer should support that approach. Secondly, your offer has to deliver value to their audience in a trustworthy way. It's vital that the audience fits with your target market, aligns with your avatar, and that you don't appear spammy. Thirdly, using a value ascension model works best. In other words, start with a small transaction, such as a book, which is a low-risk transaction that immediately moves them off the borrowed platform into your own marketing and sales process. You can then begin moving them up the value chain to a big ticket item such as a membership or coaching program. There are 3 publicity media clusters available to you, each with their own pluses and minuses. The 4 key variables you need to understand are, firstly, speed. This relates to the time and effort taken from starting the process through to you seeing results. With results, I always look to revenue generated. There are many marketers out there that try to convince you to look at soft results, such as brand reach, brand awareness, etc. These are measures used by fast-moving consumer goods, or FMCG, and are of no relevance to self-published authors. Secondly, cost. All marketing has a cost. Some will be in terms of hard dollars that you actually have to pay out, but the other cost you need to account for is your time. There is an opportunity cost attached to your time and you should always apply this to your marketing efforts. The best way to do that is to nominate a value of an hour of your time. If you're a coach or consultant, you could start with the hourly rate you charge your clients. If your income is derived from your writing efforts only, you should allocate an hourly rate that equates to your projected or desired annual income. For example, if your projected income is $100,000, your hourly rate will be $60. The third thing is reach. This is a measure of the audience that will hear or be exposed to your message. Bear in mind that a large audience may not necessarily be better than a small audience. Small audiences that match your target market and are filled with people that match your avatar are more likely to respond to your offer. And finally, responsiveness. No two audiences are alike when it comes to responsiveness. I like to look at audiences using a red, orange, and green colouring system. Red signifies an audience that's not interested in what you have to offer. They may have already solved the problem that you help with and no longer have a need for your solution, or they may simply not have the funds to buy it. Green audiences, on the other hand, are very receptive to your offer, have burning need, and have the money to buy. Orange audiences fall in the middle, and they may take a little more convincing to come on board. Now, there are 3 publicity channels you need to master. The first one is paid publicity. This is the fastest channel. There are many forms of paid publicity that cover the online and offline worlds. Nowadays, most paid publicity still happens offline using traditional media channels such as magazine ads, outdoor media, billboards for example, along with television and radio advertising. Online channels are quickly catching up and are more in line with the needs of authors. The options are many and include Google pay-per-click, which is the largest in terms of dollars spent, followed by search engine optimization or SEO, and Facebook ads. The biggest difference between offline and online advertising is that online is much more targeted and highly accountable, as measuring results is nearly immediate, accurate, and easy to perform. Its ability to target and measure, that's the major reason for the shift away from offline advertising. When correctly set up, paid publicity on platforms such as Google and Facebook is highly targeted. However, they tend to display vastly different levels of responsiveness. Generally speaking, people are searching on Google for a solution to a problem they want to solve, which means they are ready to buy right now. On the other hand, people are on Facebook primarily for social interaction, and any ad you display will be seen or not seen in a similar way to an advertisement in a magazine. The biggest downside to paid publicity is the expense. You need to consider it very carefully if all you are selling is a book. The profit margin per book may make it an unviable communication channel. On the other hand, it's well worth trialing if your book is a pathway product to a higher value program. Now, the second channel is your content. This is the lowest cost channel. In terms of actual expenditure, your content is the lowest cost method of getting your marketing communications out to the world. You need to be careful, however, as on the other hand, it will consume more of your time than any other channel. You're a writer, so producing content should be easy, I hear you say. When it comes to marketing content that delivers results, you'll probably need to take a completely different approach, as it's not just about the content. You also need to consider the vehicle you use to get your content published and distributed, and that your content will be slow to be distributed, be poorly targeted, and have a very low response rate. It's not all doom and gloom though. Because it's low cost and relatively easy, it should figure in your media mix. Nowadays, social media properties make it super easy to publish your content, and they have tools that make it easy for people to share. The key things to remember is to select social platforms that are used by your target market and that your content is on brand. It illustrates who you are as a person, and above all else, do not be constantly selling in your posts. Success comes from engagement and encouraging prospects to move away from the platform and into your marketing and sales process, which is where the real money is made. Thirdly, public relations. This has the widest reach. I've saved the best to last. In terms of low cost, wide reach, and reasonably good targeting, you can't go past public relations. Television shows, newspapers, magazines, radio shows, podcasts, etc. are all looking for fresh content, especially content they don't have to pay expensive journalists to research and then produce. As an author, you have already produced a swag of content. That's your book. That can be readily adapted to the media outlet, bypassing or greatly reducing the effort they require to research an article or segment. It's a symbiotic relationship that media outlets actively tap into. And if they find you easy to work with, they will feature you regularly over a long period of time. You need to be mindful that the number one priority is to feed their target audience, not yours. Fortunately, most media outlets have a well-defined audience, and it's easy to access that information by requesting a copy of the media kit they supply to paying advertisers. Armed with this information, you can avoid the time-wasting trap of trying to feature in media outlets that don't reasonably match your target audience. Now, the key takeaways for using Publicity are, firstly, factor in the personal time you need to make Publicity work. Secondly, like with all marketing, measure results and adjust. Thirdly, it's about building trust, so don't always be selling. Fourthly, ensure the publicity channel you use aligns with your target market. And finally, accept the fact that most channels can take time before results become apparent. I know building your author platform can seem daunting, but it doesn't have to be. In coming episodes, I'll be exploring the simple, no BS and low-cost approach to building a solid platform that you can leverage for many years to come. Finally, I want to leave you with one piece of advice. Each of the publicity channels requires effort and expertise to work effectively. A lack of expertise will lead to enormous wasted time and money. Properly exploring each of these channels would fill a number of books and training programs, which is why I recommend expert advice before embarking on any of them. But as always, be careful of who you work with. The marketing world is full of 2-minute gurus that are more adept at selling snake oil than the actual area of expertise they promote. Rather, do your research, get your strategy right, do the basics well, and you will succeed.